Witness the might of the Jabari. First time ever. Somebody. Somebody.
On Friday, you introduced Donald Trump at a group of black conservatives. He made a number of headline-making comments, including this one. Take a look.
I got indicted a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against.
Congressman, it sounds like Donald Trump was implying that he can win black voters because they get indicted all the time, too. Is that what he was saying?
Well, I think it's in part of that. It's part of it, Kristen. Look, it was a great night Friday night in Columbia, South Carolina. The president was really just enjoying himself. It was a great celebration for black conservatives across our country. But let's be very clear. Our economy is a mess. Our border is completely unsecured. These things are causes of major concerns for black voters, like it is for every voter in our country. But then when you layer on the fact that, yes, this is political persecution from the Department of Justice and from radical DAs throughout our country, this is something similar that black people had to deal with the justice system themselves. And so their look of it is real simple. Well, dang, if the government's going after him with foolishness, he can't be that bad, especially considering the fact that Joe Biden is terrible at his job.
Well, Congressman, let's just be clear. All 4 indictments against former President Trump were brought by grand juries. There is no evidence that the indictments are political in nature. But let me stick to the question here. Let me get you to respond to Biden campaign co-chair and former Congressman Cedric Richmond, who said this about his comments. Donald Trump claiming that black Americans will support him because of his criminal charges is insulting. It's moronic, and it's just plain racist. How do you respond to that charge, that it's just plain racist?
what I would say is that Cedric is trying to play politics and use racial politics even now as we get into the general election. That's one. Number two, like I said at the top, the number one reason why minority voters in our country want to support Donald Trump is because he did the job of president. He did a great job as president. Our country was secure. The economy was great. These are all things that Donald Trump talked about Friday night. He also did talk about the indictments. What Americans don't want to see, especially black Americans and anybody else, they don't want to see a politicized Justice Department. They don't want to see a two-tier system of justice. They want justice to be followed. They want Lady Justice to be blind. That's what the American people want. That's what black voters want. That's what everybody wants.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Yeah, the king is born. All right, everybody. This is Through the Fire podcast. We hold on a second. This is Through the Fire podcast. We are rebuilding from the ground up over here, and we are here every Monday. And don't forget once a month. Don't forget to check out our spotlight called Relentless next week. On our Relentless Spotlight, we're going to be talking to a lady named Joy Bailey, also known as the Mortgage Boss. So you guys are not going to want to miss her. You're not going to want to miss her story. And you're not going to want to miss the information that she's going to have about all of your real estate, home buying, financing needs. But her story is something else. The Mortgage Boss will be relentless next Monday, and she's going to be live. Make sure that you are here to support Joy, to support this stream, to support this channel, and hopefully you are here to help us grow over. I keep saying us like there's like a team over here. I'm a team of one, and I'm not schizophrenic either. So I got to stop saying us, because once upon a time when I was the Real Bravado Network, there wasn't us, but it's just me over here through the fire. All right, hold on a second. All right, listen. I'm over here getting situated. All right. I'm over getting situated. Just bear with me for a second. All right. I want to quickly touch on something that I spoke about several weeks ago when I took a look at how the Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard is managing the affairs of the village and the village of Dalton and the township of Thornton. Where she sits, Tiffany Dalton, I keep wanting to call her Tiffany Dalton, but that's not her name. It's Tiffany Henyard. And she sits at the top of both governments over there at the village of Dalton and the township of Thornton. And that is that black folks, we have this uncanny ability to take low integrity characteristics and remix them like a Jermaine Dupri joint and apply them as the new gold standard, which we all should be living by. We will shame and marginalize those who do not subscribe to the low integrity characteristics that were remixed like a Jermaine Dupri joint. And we will shame and marginalize those who don't subscribe to that notion. And not to mention that how we are obsessed with finessing and continually being finessed, and how that's led us to being the most finessed group in this country. I think something a bit worse. I think there's something a little bit worse than being finessed. And that's when someone is definitely playing in your face. For those of you who don't know what I mean when I say somebody playing in your face, let me explain that to you a little bit. For those of you who don't quite understand when I say something a little bit worse than being finessed is when somebody's playing in your face. When someone uses the phrase playing in your face, they are typically implying that another person or entity or whatever is openly disrespectful. They're being openly deceitful, and they're openly manipulative right in front of you. It suggests that the person doing this is acting without regard for your feelings, or they're acting without regard to your awareness of you being there. They are essentially clowning you in your face, as if you're not there, or as if you're too stupid to understand what they're doing. Essentially, it's a way of saying that someone is blatantly taking advantage of you and mocking you without any attempt to hide their actions. It's a very bold and dangerous game when you want to sit there and play in somebody's face like they're stupid. Now, here, like if you still don't quite understand what I'm talking about, here's a couple situations that examples that might explain or you might be able to identify when someone is playing in your face. Let's take the workplace. A coworker takes credit for your idea or for your work or for something you said, and they do it openly in the meeting, and they praise themselves in front of everybody, in front of you, in front of the entire team, knowing full well that everyone is aware that knowing full well that they know that wasn't their idea, that they was yours, but they're taking credit for it in front of everybody. They playing in your face. They playing in your face. They saying you stupid. What about in a social setting? How about a friend? How about, and a lot of people can identify with this one, I believe. Somebody borrows money from you, excuse me, and they promise to pay it back, but then openly sends a lot of money, but openly spends money on recklessly spend money on stuff right in front of you. They borrow money, promise to pay you back. They miss that deadline. Then they go around there. They're buying large amounts, stuff that costs a lot of money, superficial stuff, knowing that they owe you money, and they're doing this right in front of you, or bragging about what they didn't bought or what they didn't did, or if they go out of town or a trip or something, without even attempting to repay you for the loan or mention anything about the fact that they borrow money from you, but they just out here just recklessly playing in your face. What about when you're in a relationship with somebody, and let's just say the person you with, they're openly starting to flirt with somebody right in front of you, disrespecting you, trying to embarrass you right there. They playing in your face. So beyond the fact that black folk like to be finessed, celebrate people who do the finessing, something a little bit more insidious and dangerous is when somebody wants to play in your face. Now, what I mean by that, our two-party political system, believe it or not, is out here playing in your face, especially the face of black men in this political landscape. This push to encourage black men to vote Republican and to vote for Donald Trump for another term as president of the United States, because black men or black people, according to black people, according to BET Soul and Vivica and those raggedy bitches up there, black women are not the same as black people. Only black men are black people, and black women, there's something different. But black men, the Republican Party, the MAGA people also, they're out here saying that black men will identify with Donald Trump because Donald Trump is a 30-time convicted felon. So that's why black men are going to go out and support the MAGA movement in the Republican Party, because they can identify with the candidate who's now been unfairly prosecuted and is a over 30-time convicted felon. Black men understand being overly prosecuted, and we understand because black men ain't nothing but fucking convicted felons. In most states, I don't understand this logic, because in most states, if you're a convicted felon, you can't vote. So I don't understand how they're talking about, come vote for us black men because you're a felon, I'm a felon, you're a felon, I'm a felon. That doesn't make any sense. That's this establishment playing in your face. And other black men that are encouraging you to do this for this reasoning is playing in your face. They're playing in your face. If you don't believe me, I'm going to play the clip that I played at the beginning of the live stream.
And on Friday, you introduced Donald Trump at a group of black conservatives. He made a number of headline-making comments, including this one. Take a look.
I got indicted a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against.
I don't know if you caught that real quick. Donald Trump had to stop himself from laughing at the damn idea, the notion that that's why black men are voting for him is, oh, the black men are voting for me because the black people, they're voting for me because, and he chuckles to even get out because I've been convicted. He chuckles at it. He knows that that is absolutely ridiculous. That's a ridiculous rationale for anybody to vote for anybody, but he's gonna roll with it, and they're playing right in your face. And he's using that. He couldn't even use that as an argument without laughing at the ridiculousness of it. And we got other black people coming on the news and social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, spewing the same garbage as the reasons why. They're playing in your fucking face. I'm gonna play right after this. Let me load it up right now. Hold on a second, guys. I'm gonna load it up right now. I'm going to play another example of this. Hold on a second. Here we go. After I finish this clip of them playing in your face, I'm gonna play another clip from another person that we all know, spewing the same rhetoric and same garbage as to why black men or black people, black people don't include black women because, they're something different. Why black men are moving towards Donald Trump. Listen, I want you guys to listen at this again, okay? I want you to take a listen real closely and listen to Donald Trump chuckle at the notion.
Discriminated against, and they actually, the black people like because they, and a lot of people said that that's why the black people like because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against, and they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against.
He had to chuckle. I'm gonna play that one more time. He had to chuckle. He had to stop himself from laughing at such a ridiculous notion.
That's why the black people like because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against, and they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against.
He said they're actually viewing me like I'm being discriminated. He can't believe it him damn self that he's believing that the reason why black men are liking him is because that he's being that black men believe that he's being discriminated against. Trump's that notion for himself is so fucking out there, he can't even stop himself from laughing at it. One more final time. That is crazy.
And a third time and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against, and they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against.
He keeps laughing.
Congressman, it sounds like Donald Trump was implying that he can win black voters because they get indicted all the time, too. Is that what he was saying?
Well, I think it's in part of that. That's part of it, Kristen. Look, it was a great night Friday night in Columbia.
This Negro. This Negro. Do I need to add comment? This Negro.
Columbia, South Carolina. The president was really just enjoying himself. It was a great celebration.
He was enjoying himself, laughing at the notion that the reason why black men will be voting for him is because we feel like he's been discriminated against. Oh yeah, he was enjoying. He was tickled by that stupid ass notion.
For black conservatives across our country. But let's be very clear. Our economy is a mess. Our border is completely unsecured. These things are causes of major concerns for black voters like it is for every voter in our country. But then when you layer on the fact that, yes, this is political persecution from the Department of Justice and from radical DAs throughout our country, this is something similar that black people had to deal with the justice system themselves. And so
Congressman Byron Donalds from Florida is playing in your face. He's playing what he just said is a blatant, clear-cut example of somebody playing in your face. He's talking like everybody's stupid. And maybe black men are stupid. Well, I could actually make the argument that black men, black people, which don't include black women, because y'all something different. You your own fucking entity. But anybody with dark skin and African descent features or genetics, we are fucking stupid. That's why everybody be playing in our face, because everybody thinks we're stupid. They believe we are absolutely stupid. That's why everybody plays in our face, because we are dumb. We are some ignorant, mindless, retarded fucks. That's what we are. That's how come they can play in our face, because our sorry weak asses won't do a damn thing about it. You bunch of bitches. Black people are the worst. Black people, we're hoes. Black men, black women, we are all hoes, and we are the worst kind of hoe. We like to get fucked for free. I'll say that again. Black people are the worst kind of hoe. We fuck for free. We fuck anything and anybody who play in our face, and we do it for free. I think black people give whores a bad name. Everybody can come get some from a black person, from the black quote unquote community. Anybody can come in, take our money, take our allegiance, take our support, take anything, and we bend over. As soon as they walk up, we just turn around, bend over, spread our cheeks, and let them fuck for free.
Their look of it is real simple. Well, dang, if the government's going after him with foolishness, he can't be that bad, especially considering the fact that Joe Biden is terrible at his job.
Well, Congressman, let's just be clear. All 4 indictments against former President Trump were brought by grand juries. There is no evidence that the indictments are political in nature. But let me stick to the question here. Let me get you to respond to Biden campaign co-chair and former Congressman Cedric Richmond, who said this about his comments. Donald Trump claiming that black Americans will support him because of his criminal charges is insulting. It's moronic.
That's because black people line up for insulting and moronic things. Don't forget, y'all, throughout this whole process, don't forget, black folk love to be finessed. We love to be finessed. We love the people who are finessers. And we give whoredom a bad name because we'll fuck for free. We'll let anybody fuck us for free. It's not insulting. It's who we are as a people. We are everybody's cum dispensary, fucking doormat, and glory hole. That's what the fuck black people are. It's not insulting. We love the fact that they think the reason why somebody black will vote for MAGA or Republican is because of felony convictions. We're dumb. We think, yeah, we're voting for Donald Trump because Donald Trump, black people feel, and when I say black people, I don't mean black women because y'all something separate. Black people feel, black men, black people feel that Donald Trump is being discriminated against. Of course, it's absurd, but because we're worse than whores, these people have no problem. No one's afraid of us, and no one has any problem playing in our face.
And it's just plain racist. How do you respond?
It ain't racist. We're stupid. Let me show you somebody else who we all know is playing in our fucking face.
Senate has failed now to advance a bill.
Well, 50 or 50, depending on how you refer to him. I mean, look, he was up here for a specific reason. He was accompanied by civil rights attorney Ben Crump, and he really wanted to advocate for a generational wealth when it comes to African Americans in particular. He has a number of companies, including one that involves spirits, and so he wants to see an increase in minority representation. He felt that he didn't get a fair shake when he first started his business and wants to expand and opportunities, again, for people of color. So that was the nature of his visit. But in that context, I did ask him about the election because the Biden administration has done a lot of work in this space. But at the same time, 50 Cent has made comments in the past, including back in 2020, where he suggested that people vote for then President Trump, although he later walked those comments back. So I asked him what he's thinking about the upcoming election. Take a listen. I mean, we're heading into another election, so have you made a decision about who you're going to support?
I'm not sure how to answer that question, to be honest with you.
Have you made a decision?
I haven't.
What do you see as the significance of African American men in this election for both of you?
I see them identifying with Trump.
Why do you say that?
Because they got RICO charges.
Now you got 50 Cent playing in your face. And for some of you who sit up here and think that 50 Cent is being sarcastic on that, you are out your fucking mind. That's the whole that's why people can play in your face, because we will excuse ignorant and nonsense. We'll excuse it. That's why people can just flat out play in our face, and we'll sit there and we'll let them do it. We'll let them do it because, you know, we give whoredom a bad name. Whoredom is one step above who we are as African descendants in this country. We are beneath the whore because everybody, it don't matter who or what it is, they can come get some from us. We enjoy it when somebody is playing in our face. That's all we worth. We ain't worth nothing else because that's what we accept. Now, this live stream is not entirely about the MAGA, the Republican Party, or Donald Trump right now, which we'll get to that. This live is about the continuing finessing of black people. And I'm sorry, black women, you are absolutely included when we say black people. You are not your own goddamn entity. And this live stream is here to continue to examine how, as a group, we ain't seen a finessing that we don't like. We will even celebrate, and I'm going to keep stressing this, we even celebrate the ones who are doing the finessing to us. So next up is how these damn political parties are finessing the hell out of black people because we are lazy, we are uninformed, and we are checked out, and we enjoy a good finessing like we enjoy a good fucking. Even if the finessing is being done to us, the better. It's one thing when we see somebody else get finessed, we relish when we get finessed. We love it. But these political parties are doing more than finessing. These bastards are out here playing in our face, and we're loving it and begging for more of them to play in our face. Remember, the Republican Party is the party black people used to vote with most of the time. Oh, and let's not forget that the Republican Party is the party that freed the slaves. And let's not forget that black people had more disposable money under Donald Trump. Those narratives are simply playing in your face. More and more black men are lining up to get a taste of that good old Republican dick. So many brothers are getting in line and waiting their turn to get on their knees to get a taste of that Republican dick. The majority reasoning behind that, or the major reason behind that, is the played out notion that black people used to vote Republican all the time. You know, the Republicans were the party that embraced black people. The Republican Party was the anti-slavery party. Really? Is that what you really think? Is that what you really believe? That piece of propaganda bullshit is what you're going to allow them to play in your face with. Branding, marketing, and flat out misrepresenting the story and the history is a real thing. And they are openly playing in your face. We are generationally conditioned to be finessed and to tolerate when someone is playing in our face. And this notion that black men will have a special place in the modern day Republican Party is just outright delusional. Just like a 240-pound, 6-time baby mama with 4 different men as the fathers is going to get married to a Christian man who's 6'3", earns $275,000 a year, who coaches Little League, runs hot oil baby baths, that come home, cook for her and this other man's children, love to travel, has a strong relationship with his parents, view her as a power couple with the 6-pack abs and a porn star type dick. Black men, if you think there's a special place in the Republican Party for you, you are just as delusional as the aforementioned woman that I just described. That's how delusional they believe black men are, who think they are welcome and valued inside the modern day Republican Party. That's right, brothers. The Republican platform, especially the mega platform, is more than willing to play in your face. Turn around, spread your cheeks. They pulling up to get some, and you willing to give it to them. And believe you me, before we go a step further, let me make this clear to anybody listening to me right now. Let me make this undeniably, I don't know, I ain't got the right word. Let me make this as clear as I can make it. As you're listening to my tone and my vitriol right now, do not mistake what I'm saying about the MAGA crowd and the Republican Party. Don't make the mistake to think or to assume that I am a fucking low-life Democrat. I am not. We got the devil and Satan. We got devil and the Satan. That's the Democrat and Republican Party. For black folks, it's the devil and Satan. One's the devil, one's Satan. One's devil, one's Satan. One is the devil and one is Satan. So just because I am sitting here giving some smoke to the MAGA and the Republican platform right now, that does not mean that I am advocating for the other one. I am not. They are both. One is the devil and one is Satan. And I have a problem, and I will go to war with both because they are playing in my face. Fuck them both. Fuck them both. There are so many lies, half-truths, and misinformation about this notion regarding blacks and our original relationship with the Republican Party. I'm going to make an attempt to explain this past relationship between Black America and the Republican Party. I'm going to try to make an attempt at that. To explain this effed up relationship here in America.
We just want to party, party just for you. We just want the money, money just for you. Know you want to love, party just for free. Girl, you got me dancing, dancing it for free. We just want to party, money just for free. Girl, you gotta dance, dance.
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. Police be tripping now. Yeah, this is America. Guns in my area. I got the strap. I gotta carry 'em. Yeah, I'ma go into this. Yeah, I'ma go with the whoop. Yeah, I'ma go get the bag. Yeah, or I'ma get the pad. Yeah, I'm so cold like yeah. I'm so dull like yeah. AK blow like yeah. Straight up. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. Look how I'm geeking out. I'm so fitted.
This is America. I'm not trying to convince anyone to align with either of these dumpster fire of political parties, because they are both playing in our face, and they are doing this because we love to get finessed and we worship the finessers. We are ignorant on purpose. We are ignorant on purpose. But first, let's talk a little bit why. Let's talk a little bit about why black men are jumping over to the Republican Party and abandoning the Democratic Party or anything or any other party. Let's talk a little bit about that, okay? And let's go back to the 2022 midterm elections. About 12% of black men voted or identified as Republican, with black men showing up. That was a slight increase in the support for the Republican Party over previous election cycles. Okay, typically black support for Republicans range between 6 to 8%, depending on the Republican candidate. But in 2022, the midterm elections in 2022, so this is right in the middle of Joe Biden's presidential campaign, it rose. The black support for Republican candidates rose to about 14%, and which is up big time. And this is according to the Pew Research Center. And also according to the Pew Research Center, Donald Trump in November is projected to get over 20% of the black male vote. Now let's keep it a buck. The Democratic Party got a problem. They got a major problem if they lose 20% of the black male vote. If Donald Trump gets 20% of the black male vote, this will almost effectively end the Democratic Party as we know it. There's no way in hell that a political party, the Democratic political party, can recover from losing 20% of the black male vote. And me personally, I think it's going to be more. I think it's going to be between 25 and 30% of black men are going to go vote for Donald Trump. I think it's going to be as high as 30%. I think this is going to be, I think this presidential election won't even be close. I think it'll be over within the first hour of the polls opening up. This is how bad this is going to be, I believe. It's time to confront the harsh reality that one of the major reasons why this is happening is that the Democratic Party, their relentless focus on the needs and the wants of our black women have driven many black men to seek refuge and sanctity within the Republican Party. Yes, this is another this is your fault. This is another thing that's your fault, black women. Sorry. I don't think it's directly. I think it's indirect. But this is another thing that you're going to have to hold. Sorry. This shift is a direct consequence of policies and the public narratives that have marginalized and vilified black men over the last 50 years, creating a seismic, a Grand Canyon size irreparable rift between black men and black women, even though black women don't identify themselves as black people. They identify themselves as something different. For at least 3 decades, TV shows like The Oprah Winfrey Show, Sally Jeffrey Raphael, for those of you who remember, Ricky Lake, those shows like that on television have perpetuated a negative stereotype about black men. These shows often highlighted stories about absentee fathers, which weren't true, that most black men are criminals, which is not true. They promote the fact that black men have irresponsible behavior patterns, which is not true. And these shows can't do this without the support of black women lining up to do it and to provide cover for these fucking media outlets to do so, painting us broadly as painting black men broadly as something to be feared, not respected, discarded, and loathed, despite the fact that you raggedy bitches keep coming around getting pregnant by us. This unwielding public image, campaign has deeply influenced societal perceptions and fueled and added fire to the mistrust and to the chasm, the large chasm, the as I said, the Grand Canyon size divide and split between black men and black women. The Democratic Party's welfare policies, they were designed to support the mothers, the women, and marginalize the black men, the fathers. And according to the Urban Institute, these policies created financial disincentives for black women to marry their black men, to get under the same roof as their black men, and to combine their financial resources, which we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Combine their financial resources. All of that has played a role in why black men are saying right now at an alarming rate, fuck the Democratic Party. These behaviors by the Democrats encourages black women to rely on social programs, the government, feminism, rather than them encouraging them to build and foster strong community and a sense of family with their black men, which would create stability. So with no man in the home and women getting custody, physical primary placement custody of the children, the overwhelming majority of the time, this places black women at the head of the table. And it pushes black men into a third-class status at best behind the black woman and behind the fucking children, which there will be no children without him. Another Pew Research Center report from 2019 stated that Democratic campaigns have increasingly focused over the last 3 decades, 3 decades, have focused exclusively on the issues of black women, often sidestepping, ignoring, and curbing the issues that and the issues and concerns that the ones that the black women actually need, even though they say they don't need us, but these raggedy bitches do need us. Sidestepping the needs of the black men and the issues of the black men. This political neglect by the Democratic Party has led to more black men to feel that they don't have a voice in that party, in that system, in that advocacy machine, and more black men now believe that the Democratic Party has no value for black men other than to do what that black woman says do. Black men are the only group of men in this country, in this world, that there is an expectation that we do what the fuck our women say do, and not the other way around. The same group of people that elected Barack Obama elected Donald Trump. Who are those group of people? The group of people that elected Donald Trump were suburban white women. When suburban white men, their husbands, got fed up with Barack Obama after Barack Obama saved their fucking houses, by the way, after they got fed up with Barack Obama, those white men told those white bitches, no. We're going to vote for him, Trump, this year. Those white men were able to tell their women what the fuck to go do, who the fuck to go vote, who to go vote for, and they did it. Donald Trump got elected on the backs of suburban white women, the same women that voted for Donald Trump. But our black men are expected to follow in line behind our women, and no one else is expected to follow in line behind their women other than us. This is another reason why black men are deciding to tell the Democratic Party to go screw yourself. Also, as we all know, welfare policies have often been structured in a way to keep black men away from their families, particularly those who they're the non-custodial parent, meaning that the children do not live with the father, they live primarily with the mother. These policies created financial disincentives for women to even get married, because the government was there to prop up what the man is supposed to provide for the family unit, which further marginalized the black men from the family structure. Black men often, we often faced significant challenges in securing like fair custody arrangements. There's always there's a need for policies that promote equitable parenting and ensure that fathers have a meaningful access to the children when they're no longer a part of the family structure, which is almost none of us. The current family court system frequently just defaults to awarding primary physical placement of the children with the mother, even if the mother is not the best option for the children. And if you look at the outcomes of the children in the black community, the mother is not the best option. So anybody who thinks that you are, as a woman, that you are the best option, you're not. According to all of the data, all of the outcomes, you're not. Black women inside of the Democratic Party were also targeted to bolster the feminist movement, which the Democratic Party supports. And black women were recruited to aid the white women in achieving her economic parity with her husband. Black women were recruited by white women to help white women achieve economic parity with their husband, with those white husbands. White women came and got you out of your house with your husband to help her with her fucking husband, and you raggedy bitches got up and did it. So when white women, when they achieved their goal, the outcomes for black women were drastically different. And it led to a significant social and economic consequences for black women that I call it the unintended consequences of you getting involved in somebody else's bullshit. You nosy bitches. You nosy bitches got involved in somebody else's bullshit, and you guys suffered the consequences of it. Black women today, overwhelmingly today, identify with the terroristic nature of the feminist movement. One can make the argument the feminist movement now is just a black woman movement because white women are not signing up for your bullshit. They're not out there with you no more, black women. I don't know if you looked around. You the only motherfuckers out there with this. I don't need no man. I can do bad by myself. I can be a single mama and do the good job of turning out a fucking terrorists to the community, men, boy, children. You're out there by yourself with this. White women, everybody else has left you after they've used you to get what they needed out of their men. They fucking left you out there and uncovered, unprotected, and the least desirable bitches out here outside of getting some pussy, which black women are the easiest women to get pussy from. White women used to have that fucking image. But by God, black women said, really? We could do better than that. Hold my beer. Black women are the only women who participated in that movement that left their husband. The other groups of women never left their men. They never left their men, and they never intended to. But black women were brainwashed into thinking that they were being victimized and being oppressed by black men when black men don't, never had, probably never will, had any economic or political power to oppress black women. In fact, due to the feminist movement, black women used white men to violate black men via custody issues, abuse of the child support system, false sexual harassment claims on the job, calling the police for every little nick and dime thing, making up stuff. You know, you use the white man. You use the white man to violate your man, and ain't nobody using their man to help you do a damn thing. I mean, you guys are something else. The biggest finessing for black women was the feminist movement talking black women into thinking that their men that black men was oppressing them, and the Democrats giving out Section 8 and welfare and packaging that as a replacement for black men was the Democratic Party and the quote-unquote feminist movement. That was them, black women, playing in your face. Everyone could see the damn finessing except the stupid-ass black women who still to this day, despite all the destruction those decision calls, still let these people play in their face, while black men have to sit around and watch this shit continue to decay. This is another reason why black men are saying screw you to the Democratic Party, to the black church, and opting out of anything with rescuing anything that looks like a quote unquote black community. The feminist movement was largely aimed at helping white women achieve economic equality with their husbands. But by recruiting black women into the movement, it gained more support because the black women already had an organizational mindset and structure, because black women were already mobilized into a massive movement called the Civil Rights Movement. So the white women didn't even know how to extract these resources from their men. So they came to black women who was watching them make gains, and they asked them for help. And black women said, "Sure, we'll help you, white woman. We'll help you with your man." And in the process, a lot of these black women found out that the feminist movement was nothing but a political cult. And the primary beneficiaries of the feminist movement were white women who saw equal pay and opportunities in the workforce they had been previously. I wouldn't say they were excluded from. The men didn't want them in the workplace because of what it does to a woman's nature. They didn't want that. They didn't want that overly masculine, out of control, hard and stressed out, woman in their home. And he didn't want that kind of woman raising his children. And unlike the black women's white female counterparts, black women were already active participants in the workforce. Black women were already in the workforce when white women weren't. And according to the U.S. Department of Labor, by the middle of the 20th century, the majority of black women were employed, primarily in domestic roles and service roles, but they were employed. White women were not employed at a large number. Black women were. So this historical participation highlights that the feminist movement and their goals did not align with the reality of black women. Black women didn't have no problems being able to go out and generate an income if they wanted to. White women did, because their white men didn't want them to. They didn't want them in that high stress, high paced environment. They wanted them relaxed, calm, and at home, and helping usher in the next generation of whitey. But black women were in the workforce. Black women were in the workforce. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, they were in the workforce. And this is also with the combined report from the National Women's Law Center. Black women were in the workforce at a 60% clip. 60% of black women were employed during the height of the feminist movement. Black women were already making money. White women weren't making anything because they were at home. The data suggests that the issues of work, of being able to go into the workplace and have employment and equality that was central to the feminist movement, those were not black women issues. Black women didn't have those issues. Black women were already working. Black women were already in the workforce at a 60% rate and earning a livable wage that contributed to the home. While the majority of white women sat their asses at home and was pissed off because their fucking allowance from their husbands wasn't big enough. These white women were mad because their allowance wasn't big enough. And they wanted a bigger allowance from their husband. So they started rebelling, and then they got one of the most organized groups in the country, which were blacks and black women from the civil rights movement, to help them extract more financial resources from their white man. And you black women, instead of telling these white bitches, look, that ain't none of my goddamn business what's going on between you and your white man, you let these white women play in your face. Real quick. You know what else this proves, or disproves? And this is kind of a side note. This notion that what a traditional black man is having a black woman that don't have to work. The fact that during the feminist movement, which is the 50s through the 70s, this notion that black women, that the traditionalism for any black person is that black women get to be a stay-at-home mama is a fucking lie. That is not what makes you a traditional woman if you get to sit at home and not fucking work. Because during the late 50s, 60s, and 70s, grandma and great-grandma punk asses were working at a 60% rate. So only 40% of black women were stay-at-home mothers. The overwhelming majority of black women, just like today, were in the goddamn workforce. And they still were traditional women. They went into the workforce, they earned a goddamn paycheck, they brought it home, and guess what they never did to their husbands? They never talked about a fucking 50-50. They never referred to their husbands as my partner. I'll submit if you make me a housewife. You funky bitches can go choke on some arsenic. That's to all you my partner bitches. And I'll submit if he makes me a housewife bitches. Go choke on some fucking arsenic. Black women have never in mass been stay-at-home mothers. They've never been a stay-at-home mothers. They've always been in the workforce. They've always, the black household, the black family has always required both of us to go out to these white folks, get what we can get, bring that shit home, raise our kids. But you motherfuckers let these white women play in your face and let them convince you that you had a problem that you did not have. Them hoes had the problem. And when you started leaving your man and them white bitches got what they wanted out of their man, they went back home to their fucking men and worked it out. What the fuck you women do? 80% baby mama rate, 80% single mother household, 80% of black people born without a father in the house, and the mass and a lot of us not knowing who our fathers were. I could do bad all by myself bullshit because you let them fuckers play in your face. The feminist movement emphasis on independence and economic self-sufficiency, which is what white women really did not want. They just wanted more allowance. That led to an increase in single-parent households among black women because black women bought the bullshit lock, stock, and barrel. Got played. The bitches got played. And here's what's so messed up. Black women know today. They know right now that they were played, and they still doing it. They're still making a fucking conscious choice to do it. That's why I call you raggedy bitches, because you know you were played. You know your grandmothers and your great grandmothers got played. You know your aunties and your aunties were played. You know your friends and mothers, grandmothers and aunties were played. You know that they're still playing you, but you raggedy hoes are sitting here still moving as if you don't know that you were played. You guys are fucking bullshit. You guys are horrible. You're disgusting. Black men don't hate you, but we should. We should, because you know better. And according to a 2019 Pew Research report, 74% of black children right now live in a single-parent household based on the fact that you let these fucking white women play in your face. You letting these people play in your face has had a profound effect on the stability and economic well-being of the black community as a whole. So let me translate this for you. Because you black feminist whores allow these white women to finesse you into helping them get a bag from their man for their benefit, and because you let them make you think that it was cool to leave your man, you sorry ass chicks are out here broke. B-R-O-K-E, broke. And let's not forget, Black women loves a scammer and loves a finesser. That's why the white women were able to do that to you, because your funky ass love a scammer.
Back, relax, and let's get it. Right? Or the type of guys you prefer: scammer, drug dealer, or 9 to 5.
Drug dealer. I want him to move that weight. I'm your pusher man.
I'm trying to be on the YouTube. Respectfully, it is what it is.
Scammer, 9 to 5, drug dealer.
Wow, that was quick. Oh, you had this planned out. She had this planned out. She's the expert. That's her whole model right now.
9 to 5 is more reliable, but scamming niggas gonna get you what you want.
Do you got a scamming nigga right now?
No.
You don't got the 9 to 5 nigga?
I don't have anybody.
You don't got the drug dealer nigga?
I don't have nobody.
I have nobody. Damn, she's lonely. Damn.
It is.
They better slide on her DMs or something. She's taking application for the winter.
I am. I tell the world I prefer 9 to 5, but I really want to scam her in my heart. No funny shit. Because who are you, bitch? We didn't care shit.
They heard that in that video.
Whoa, nah. He said, "Who are you, bitch?" Is crazy. He's on bad. Hold on. Hold on. This man is on bad timing.
I'm just trying to figure out who the fuck that bitch is. That's my friend over there.
Oh, you see, ladies, you gotta have a friend like this, because he is backing you up.
He in the friend zone.
I need a drug dealer and then a scammer, then fuck the 9 to 5. I want the scammer first, then the drug dealer, then the 9 to 5.
They like the fast money over here.
Because the fast money niggas, they got time. They can take you out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
But
Friday.
you just complained you didn't want the
only.
I ain't got nothing to say on that. That speaks for itself. The feminist movement was not tailored to the unique experiences and the challenges that were faced by Black women. Instead, it primarily served the interest of white women, helping white women achieve their economic parity with their husbands. In contrast, Black women who were already active in the labor force found that the movements, the feminist movement, they did find that the goals did not address their Black women's specific needs and circumstances. Black women had a different set of issues. As a result, Black women were finessed into a movement that did not serve their best interests, leading to increased depression. Let me say that again. Black women were finessed into a movement that did not serve their best interests, which led to some very interesting outcomes and not good for Black women. It led to an increase in depression, increase in high blood pressure, increase in uterine cancer, increase in fibroid tumors, increase in hysterectomies, increase in obesity, increase in mental health issues, increase in child abuse, increase in sexual exploitation, a definite increase in single parenting household, and a persistent, unwielding economic hardship. You go, girl. That's what the feminist movement did for Black women. And let me tell y'all something. Over the last 30 years, Black men have been telling you to leave it alone, to let it go, that those women were out there harming you, that you were harming yourself for the advancement of white women's issues. But you hard-headed fuckers decided to ignore your men who had your best interest at heart. But for some reason, you thought the white woman and the white man had your best interest at heart. And you still operate today like they got your best interest at heart. And you know damn well they don't. You know they don't. You are willfully making the decision to aid, help, develop, cultivate, support white men and white women's issues to make sure that their family and their generations get to continue on. You are a fucking terrorist to your own kind, because the only people left out here in this feminist bullshit are black women, gay black men, that's it. Black men have been begging you guys to come back from over the cliff. Not from the edge of the cliff. You're already over the cliff. We've been trying to help you get up, and because you don't like the way we're doing it, you guys are just gonna go further down, to the point where there's gonna be, in just a few short years, there will be nothing left. Nothing left. All of these complex issues have led black men to feeling disenfranchised from their woman and from their family, and also disenfranchised from the social political machine. Our needs, our wants, our votes don't matter. Not to the Democrats, damn sure not to the Republicans. But the MAGA machine and the Republican Party, at least they're willing to pay lip service to some issues that black men value. But they're playing in our face too. Give me a minute. What is the Republican Party from old to new? Now, this is the part of the stream where we got to do some education. And I know people don't like education. Ain't nothing worse than trying to educate black people. Black people hate education. And everybody that's watching now is for the log off, because now I got to educate. And there's only going to be 2 people left in here because, oh my God, we got to learn some shit. We got to learn some shit because, black people, we don't want to fucking learn anything. This is why we're worse than whores. That's why we give whores and whoredom a bad name. Because we love it when somebody fucking play in our face. All right, listen. The preservation of the United States and the Constitution became central tenets of American conservatism, what we now know as American conservatism. Throughout the 20th century, which is when I was born in, throughout the 20th century, saw significant shifts in conservative thought, mainly in the context of the Cold War. The Cold War was like this silent war between the United States and Russia, or the former Soviet Union. Some of the stuff you guys are gonna have to look up because I just don't have a lot of time to break it down the way we are. So I'm giving you a general overview. American conservatism coalesced somewhere around the opposition of communism. You guys got to look at what communism is, and support for free market capitalism. So conservatism became about stomping out communism and supporting capitalism, money, and to a degree, a commitment to traditional values. And we are going to take some time in about 2 weeks to talk about what is traditional values and what that means. And do black folk and white folks' traditional values, do they actually align? This fella named William F. Buckley, through an article in a magazine called the National Review, played a critical role in defining what the modern American conservatism was by and he outlined various standards of conservative thought, and including coining the terms liberalism and traditionalism. So this guy named William F. Buckley is really the father of using the term liberalism and traditionalism to separate out the philosophy of quote unquote conservatism versus it was basically a branding and marketing thing to identify what a Republican was and what a Democrat was. A Democrat was liberalism. Ideals were liberalism, whatever. Like, that's a bad term. And then traditionalism was something that they've marketed as virtue, as something of virtue and something to strive for, and it's a higher calling. Fuck out of here. The election of Donald Trump, and I'm not Donald Trump, Lord have mercy. The election of Ronald Reagan, might as well be Donald Trump. The election of Ronald Reagan in 1980 marked a pivotal role for the modern conservative movement. Reagan's policies, by the way, Reagan fucking hated Dr. Martin Luther King. He fought tooth and nail from making MLK a national holiday. Ronald Reagan is a disgrace to me for black folk. He should be a disgrace. But Reagan's policies reduced government intervention into the economy. It promoted free enterprise. It led the foundation for NAFTA, the one that Bill Clinton signed into law, and advocating for strong national defense. That's why we spend goo gobs of money on the military. We spend, I think, 8 times the amount of money on our military than any other industrialized country. It's ridiculous the amount of money we spend on our military. It's insane, and most of that money does not go directly to the actual people in the fucking military, the actual soldiers. It doesn't go to the front line. The majority of the money does not go to the front line. Ronald Reagan's rhetoric, like quotes like "government is not the solution to our problems. Government is the problem," became a Republican Party rallying cry and a new mantra for the Republicans to live by. That government is not the solution to our problems, but I'm gonna tell you something. It is a solution to some problems. And I know over on this might be risky. He does not, DJ Ham does not like to use the word some, but sometimes it applies. Okay, nigga? Sometimes it applies. All right. So in the late 21st century, the Republican Party was kind of taken over by this ideal of populism, like this populist movement, and which is what gave rise to the election of Donald Trump, and it introduced a new dynamic into the conservative platform. So while the conservatives in the United States is deeply intertwined with the Republican Party, which was founded in 1854, originally emerged as the anti-slavery party. But was it really? Over time, the party evolved to embrace conservative principles such as limited government, free market capitalism, and individual liberties. So the Republican Party is all about the individual making money, but limited government, which I find that hilarious because they're always trying to make laws to interfere with your damn life, in the decisions you make. The Republican Party is a fucking conundrum. They are and a contradiction. But so here's like a slight overview of how conservatives became linked to the Republican Party, and the historical context of it can be found within the three-fifths compromise. And we're going to take a look at the Fifth compromise, and then the story behind how the Dixiecrats joined the Republican Party and why Black Americans largely stopped voting for Republicans. Now listen, you know, the Republican Party has done a very good job recently of marketing themselves as the party of anti-slavery, but that's not entirely true. And Black folks historically have aligned themselves with parties that, you know, they felt like on some level had their best interest, or were at least they were going to get some social gains within this country, so they align with that party. So this whole notion that the Republican Party is the party of anti-slavery, that's not entirely true. That is not entirely true, which we're going to look at that. And, you know, we in this whole notion that the Democratic Party is the party of slavery, that's not entirely true either. Yes, there was a changing and switching of ideals within these parties, and that was primarily because of the Dixiecrats. These are Southern Democrats. They call them Dixiecrats, and I'm going to get into that in just a second here. So people are, when you're talking about the Republican Party today and what they are, that is who the Republican, I don't care what nobody tells you, the Republican Party today is not the Republican Party of Lincoln. They're not. Believe it or not, the Republican Party of Lincoln is actually the damn Democratic Party, which the modern day Democrat Party, which we're going to find out now. In neither one of these motherfuckers, the devil and Satan, that's what these parties are. And you're about to see why I call them the devil and the Satan. Neither one of them had our best interest. Neither one of them. We were politically expedient for them at the time. They played in our face then. They're playing in our face now. They finessed us then. They're finessing us now. And if whoever you're going to, whatever way you're going to vote, I want you to vote having the right, correct information. Know who you're about to let fuck you in the ass. You know, initially the Republican Party was progressive. Initially, the Republican Party was considered the progressive party, kind of like what the Democrats are considered today. You know, they, as a political platform, advocated for the abolition of slavery. But that had everything to do with economics, had nothing to do with the goddamn people or morality. The party of Lincoln, the Republicans, yes, they led the passages of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, the 14th Amendment, and the 15th Amendments, which all ended slavery and guaranteed citizenship to former enslaved Africans or the descendants of former enslaved Africans, and gave rise to the voting rights for blacks in this country. That party that did that is not the fucking Republican Party of today. The Republican Party today wants to eliminate voting for blacks. They want to go get rid of voting for blacks. They openly fight and try to hinder voting for black people in black districts. They try to redesign, they redesign districts. The Supreme Court had to step in multiple states who are trying to gerrymander districts on steroids to try to minimize the impact of black votes. That is not the Republican Party of old. That's the Dixiecrats who are now in the Republican Party. You guys got to go look up guys like Barry Goldwater and Ronald Reagan and how those two fuckers helped shape the new identity of the Republican Party right now. Now let's talk about the Three-Fifths Compromise, which was a provision in the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, and this was reached out during the Constitution Convention in 1787, and it determined that 3/5 of every enslaved population could be counted for and determine representation for taxation. This is a very complicated thing to understand, but I'm gonna try to break it down to you for a second, okay? All right, so let's take a look at the Three-Fifths Compromise, okay?
Hey guys, I almost missed you. It's Hip Use History, and we're gonna do a little bit of the teaching on the YouTubes. Are you ready for some Three-Fifths Compromise? Because it's gonna be on the exam. It's important vocabulary for an American government course, a US history course, or the course of life. How do you like that? The Three-Fifths Compromise, batter up. All right guys, Philadelphia baby, hoot hoot. Philly, 1787, we have the Constitutional Convention going on, and we were really, at first amending the Articles of Confederation, and eventually we toss that bad boy out and we start anew. And one of the compromises that occurs before the Three-Fifths Compromise is called the Great Compromise or the Connecticut Compromise. And of course you've already learned that. This is what created a bicameral legislature, a House and a Senate. Remember the Senate, 2 senators per state, and the small states are like, I love it! And then we have a House of Reps based on population. And the large states are like, I love it! And now we can get ready for the Three-Fifths Compromise. Because in order to determine a state's representation for the House of Reps, we need to know their population. So the Constitution sets that every 10 years we do what's called a census. And we're like, 1, 2, 3, there are 100,000 people in Alabama. And what that does is it does 2 things. Number 1, that population number allows us to determine the direct taxes that state's going to pay. But more importantly, for our discussion of the Three-Fifths Compromise, it determines the representation they get in the House of Representation. How many congressmen they are going to be able to send to Washington, D.C. to represent the interest of that state. And the controversy occurs not between small states and large states, but between southern states and northern states, and specifically on how do we count slaves. And the South wants it 2 ways. Number 1, when it comes to counting slaves, they don't want to count them when it comes to direct taxes. They want to make sure that they are treated as property then, because the more population have, the more the direct taxes you're going to pay, and that's going to hurt.
So let me explain to you what he's saying real quick. Let me try to be a little bit more concise with it. The southern slave states wanted the slaves to be able to vote. That's a big misnomer. People thought, oh, the slave owners don't want their slaves to vote. That's not true. They did. They wanted their slaves to vote because of the volume of slaves that they had. They could influence what happened on a national level. If their slaves were allowed to vote and they were able to control the vote of their slave, which they could, we would still have slavery today, because they would have made their slaves vote for their own for the slave owners' best interest, which was African chattel slavery. If the Three-Fifths Compromise, which a lot of people rail against, they only count us 3/5 of a man, 3/5 of a man. If they were able to, if the South got their way, which would have been to allow a 1-to-1, which is the Democratic Party, by the way. If the Democratic Party was able to get their way, that each slave would have got a 1-to-1 vote on line with them, we would, in 2024, we would still be slaves. We would still be slaves. The Republican Party was the one that was against it because they understood what would happen. So the Republicans were not for slaves to having a 1-to-1 vote, because then the South would control the direction of the country and how the country evolved. So while a lot of people poo-poo the Three-Fifths Compromise, or the fact that the Constitution said that black people are 3/5 of a man, You got to rethink, is that really an insult? And what the impact would have been if they would have been counted as a whole person. If they would have been counted as a whole person. And then also the Democrats in the South, the Dixiecrats, they did not want, they wanted their slaves to have the vote, but they didn't want them to have the freedoms. Ain't that some shit?
Them. But when it comes to representation, suddenly the South's like, slaves are people. Slaves are people. Because the more pop-pop you get, the more rep you get, and the more power you get in Congress. And the North is like, hell no. Slaves don't count. Slaves don't count because the more slaves, the more power, and we don't have any slaves. So at the end of the day, the fraction that you get, and I'm getting nauseous as I get ready to say the word, is the 3/5 fraction, compromise. For every 5 slaves, when we do the census, we're going to count like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6. For every 5 slaves, you get 3 people. And those people can be counted for your census, your population, and you can get representation off them. So the ironic part of this is that the South is going to get representation from their slaves so they can send that representation to Congress in order to keep their slaves slaves. Now, if we never had the 3/5 compromise, there's a good chance that a lot of American history would be different. Thomas Jefferson probably wouldn't have won the election of 1800. The Indian Removal Act probably would not have happened. Andrew Jackson would not have been able to veto the National Bank. We probably would not have had our compromises that pushed the Civil War off for another 50 or 60 years. So the 3/5 compromise is pretty darn important when it comes to understanding not only the Constitution and the Convention and compromise, but also really, I believe, sectionalism and the Civil War. So there it is, the 3/5 compromise. We're going to say it again. For every 5 slaves, you get 3 people in the census. First, for direct taxation purposes to determine how much taxes your state pays, but more importantly, to determine your pop-pop for your rep for Congress, the House of Representation. Of course, the 3/5 compromise is going to be bye-bye, baby. When it comes to the 13th Amendment, that's going to nullify and kind of scratch out the 3/5 compromise. But now your brain's a little bit bigger than when you press.
That's wild to think about it from that perspective. So like the impact of the 3/5 compromise, that gave Southern states greater representation in the House of Representatives, but then only free persons have been counted. But I mean, good God, if they would have gone, look, y'all heard what the white man said. So let's talk a little bit about the Dixiecrats in the Republican Party, okay? The term Dixiecrat refers to a fraction of Democrats within the Democratic Party that was prominent in the South of the United States during the mid 20th century. They were known for their staunch support of segregation, and they opposed civil rights in any form. The Democrats did, the Dixiecrats, the Southern Democrats, they supported segregation and they opposed civil rights. The Dixiecrats formally emerged as a political entity in 1948, and they broke away from the Democratic Party to form a states' right Democratic Party in response to the Democrats' Party of the North increasingly supporting civil rights. Now, there was starting to be a shift because the Republican Party was starting to become more towards business and business-minded. And the Democratic Party saw, because of the voting, they saw the ability to capitalize on black votes. And they started supporting, and their political candidates started supporting civil rights and anti-segregation. So like the push for civil rights, mainly during the 1950s and 60s, was a pivotal factor in why there was a shift, in the two different parties. And the thing that broke the camel's back was when Barry Goldwater, when Strom Thurmond, who's dead now, died a few years back, when Strom Thurmond decided, he was a Democrat, but he was a Dixiecrat in the Democratic Party, kind of like the Republican Party and the Tea Party and the Republican Party and the MAGA Party. The Dixiecrats decided to send a person named Strom Thurmond to run for president against a current sitting Democrat named Harry Truman. That's when, and Strom Thurmond lost that. And when they lost that attempted takeover of the Democratic Party, or retake-over the Democratic Party, that's when all of those Southern Dixiecrats, which were a lot of them, migrated to the Republican Party. So over the course of the 60s, 70s, the National Democratic Party went increasingly supportive of civil rights, feminism, and the Southern Dixiecrats began to shifting their alliance towards the Republican Party, which is now considered the Southern Party. Which is why when you look at the electoral map, mostly all of the Southern states are Republican now, because those Republican states were former Democratic states, or they were Dixiecrats. They were basically Democrats in name only, but they're Republican. So the modern day Republican Party is nothing more than the old white Southern Democratic Party, who was anti-civil rights and pro-segregation. That's the fucking Republican Party today. They're not the party of Lincoln and all this other bullshit that we would like to think. You guys got to look at Barry Goldwater, look up Strom Thurmond, look up the Southern strategy for you to really, really understand. So how did we go from Lincoln to Donald Trump?
Today's Republican Party opposes big government. It's culturally conservative. Its demographic support is strongest among white voters, and it usually dominates elections in the South. The party's 2016 presidential nominee has been heavily criticized for inciting racial tensions. But things weren't always this way. Over the past 160 years or so, the party has undergone a remarkable transformation from the party of Abraham Lincoln to the party of Donald Trump. To understand how the GOP got this way, you have to go back to when it first came into existence in 1854, just 7 years before the Civil War. There are two parties at this point, the Whigs and the Democrats. America is quickly expanding westward, and there's an intense debate over whether or not new states should permit slavery. The Democratic Party, with strong support in the South, has become increasingly pro-slavery. But the Whigs are divided on the issue. Their northern supporters are really afraid that the growing number of slave states would have too much political influence, which they feared could really hurt free white workers economically. So in 1854, the country is debating whether or not the territories of Kansas and Nebraska should allow slavery. The Whigs can't agree, and the party ends up collapsing. The former Whigs in the North form a new party that will fight against letting slavery expand any further. They call it the Republican Party. By 1860, the Republican Party has become increasingly powerful in the North, enough so that a little-known Republican named Abraham Lincoln wins the presidency. Even though Lincoln promises he won't interfere with slavery in states that already have it, he and his party are still too anti-slavery for the South to tolerate. So 11 southern states secede from the Union, forming the Confederate States of America. The northern states decide to fight to keep the Union together, and the Civil War ensues. The result is a northern victory and the abolition of slavery nationwide. After the war, Republicans begin fighting to ensure that recently freed slaves in the South have their rights. A year after Lincoln's assassination, the party passes the Civil Rights Act of 1866. They fight to make sure that black men have the same right to vote with new laws and constitutional amendments. But something had happened during the Civil War that began changing the young Republican Party. Government spending during the war made many northern businessmen really rich. Gradually, these wealthy financiers and industrialists start taking more and more of a leadership role in the Republican Party. They want to hold on to power, and they don't think that fighting for black rights in a mostly white country is the best way to do that. Meanwhile, the South is resisting these new racial reforms, often violently, and most white Republican voters and leaders now feel that they've done enough for black citizens in the South, and it's time to emphasize other issues. So in 1870, the party basically gives up on reforming the South, deciding instead to leave it to its own devices. The region becomes politically dominated by white Democrats. Fast forward to the new century. By the 1920s, the Republican Party has become essentially the party of big business. This works out quite well for them as the economy is booming, but not so well when the economy crashes in 1929 and the Great Depression begins. Franklin D. Roosevelt and other Democrats are swept into power and begin dramatically expanding the size and role of the federal government in an attempt to fight the Depression and better provide for Americans. Republicans oppose this rapid expansion, defining themselves as opposition to big government, an identity that the party still holds today. Going into the 50s and 60s, race and the South returned to the forefront of national politics, with the civil rights movement attempting to end segregation and ensure blacks truly have the right to vote. The civil rights debate isn't a purely partisan issue. It's more of a regional issue, with Northerners from both parties supporting it and Southerners from both parties opposing it. Then, in 1964, it's Democratic President Lyndon Johnson who signs the Civil Rights Act into law. And it's Republican presidential nominee Barry Goldwater who opposes it, arguing that it expands government power too much. A massive switch-up takes place. Black voters, some of whom had already been shifting from the Republican Party, convert almost entirely to their new advocates, the Democrats. The white voters in the South, who had been staunch Democrats, start to really resent the big government interference here and in other matters like abortion rights and school prayer. Over the next 3 decades, whites in the South switch to the GOP, which makes the South an overwhelmingly Republican region. By the 1980s, the party begins to resemble the GOP we are familiar with today. Republicans elect Ronald Reagan, who promises to fight for business interests, lower taxes, and traditional family values. As the 21st century begins, America is going through a major demographic shift in the form of Hispanic immigration, both legal and illegal. Democrats and business elites tend to support reforming immigration laws so that the over 10 million unauthorized immigrants in the U.S. would get legal status. On the Republican side, tough on immigration policies and rhetoric became popular. But this ends up costing the Republicans when, in 2012, Mitt Romney loses his bid for the presidency. He gets blown out among Hispanic voters. Exit polls showed that 71% of them voted for Barack Obama. So the Republican Party starts to look more like a party for white voters in an increasingly non-white country. Given these demographic trends, Republican leaders worry that if they keep losing Hispanic voters by that much, they'll lose their chances of ever winning the presidency. So in 2013, some key Republicans in the Senate, including the rising star Marco Rubio, collaborate with Democrats on an immigration reform bill that would give unauthorized immigrants a path to legal status. But there's a huge backlash from the Republican Party's predominantly white base, which views the bill as amnesty for immigrants who broke the rules. This exacerbates the GOP voters' mistrust in their own party leaders, a mistrust that has already been growing for some time. And that makes the political landscape of 2015 fertile ground for a figure like Donald Trump, an outsider businessman who wants to build a wall on the border of Mexico. Trump isn't a traditional conservative, but he appealed to the resentment and the mistrust of party leaders that Republican primary voters had, as well as the strong opposition to growing immigration trends. And even though he was loathed by party leaders, he won enough support in the primaries to become the GOP nominee for president. So now the Republican Party is once again at a major crossroads as it tries to meet the political challenges of the 21st century. It's up to Republican voters and leaders to decide just what they want their party to be. Voters
Black men are, I believe, in my opinion, black men are about to make the same mistake that black women made with the feminist movement with the Republican Party. The issues and concerns that the Republican Party, which is the party of hateful white men, their issues are not our issues. And because black men feel marginalized in damn near every aspect of their life, they're willing to latch on to pieces of the Republican Party platform that sounds good to them. Next week, I will be doing my Relentless Spotlight with the Mortgage Boss. The week after that, we are going to get into black conservatism versus white conservatism, and if they are the same, and why, and more particularly, why in the hell do black men think that their brand of conservatism is the same as the same brand of white conservatism? It's beyond me. We as a group, black men and black women, and I know black women you guys do not believe you're the same as black people or as black men, that you believe that you're a different group, but we continue to let people play in our face. And we continue to let people use us, all out of a need to feel connected to something. I can understand that. Listen, understanding the history shift in the political parties, mainly the transition of Dixiecrats to the Republicans, that's vital for making informed voting decisions for a few reasons. One, have a clear understanding of each of these party platforms. The Democrats and the Republican parties of today are not the same as they were several decades ago. And anyone making that argument that they're lying and they're playing in your face. And I know that I'm on deaf ears and only 4 people's gonna see this, and because I'm not the it dude and I'm not up here having people fight and scream and call each other out their names and all this other bullshit. I know that I'm not popular. I know don't nobody want to listen to me, but here I am. Understanding the historical shifts helps voters comprehend how and why the party platforms have the values that they have and how they have evolved over time. And then also understanding the historical shifts in these political parties also gives you a greater understanding of the policy and the implications of the various policies between the devil and Satan. Knowing the history of these parties' alignments and realignments can reveal how the past political policies have shaped our outcomes. This should help voters predict how each party might address the issues that come up. And then also the ideology, understanding this historical shift and acknowledging the fact that there was a shift. And a lot of fucking Republicans do not want to, they want you to believe that there was no shift. They don't want you to believe that the Republican Party is nothing more than the old white slave segregated Southern Dixiecrats. That's all the Republican Party is. But the Republican Party, because they got the name Republican, they want to rely on the palatable branding of the anti-slave party. You motherfuckers today are not the anti-slave party. You are the pro-slave party. But we need to understand what we're doing. Black men they're playing in our face. And you're lining up to do the very thing that we bitch at black women about. You are about to get in line and get in bed with motherfuckers who do not have your interest at heart, who want to exercise your disenfranchisement for their gain, and we will get nothing from it. That's why I call us, we are lower than whores. We're getting fucked for free. The last Republican president who received at least 20% of the black vote was Gerald Ford in the 1976 election. Donald Trump is on pace to exceed that in this election. And let me ask a final question. With black men seemingly lining up to ensure that there's another Trump presidency, why do these black men think white conservatism and black conservatism is the same thing? These people are playing in our face, and we're letting them do it. And we're welcoming it with open arms. Remember when I started my rebranding process, I said, we love being finessed, and we love the ones finessing us. They're playing in our face. They're playing in our face. And if black men vote for Donald Trump at the rate that he's projected to get, black men, we have no more room to bitch or complain about what black women did with the feminist movement. This story, this stream is to be continued.